Fun fact, before we get into today's video, this video today is my 500th video here on the channel. So, obligatory thank you to all of you out there who have made this possible over the course of the past 15 months. And let's go ahead and get into today's video because it is a very, very important video, and not because it is my 500th video here on the channel. No, you guys, today is the day. The Street Fighter V collaboration is officially upon us. In today's video, I am going to be going through the update and giving you guys all the information that you need to know on the Street Fighter V collaboration. So listen up, and I hope you are ready to be taking notes. Before we get into that, though, we do need to talk about one major part of this, and that is going to be that we have coupon codes. So I will go ahead and put those up on screen here, and I'll also have them in the description to this video. These are going to be some very valuable coupon codes, so make sure that you guys input these. I will also have the iOS link in the description for all of you on iOS devices. And that is the first point that I wanted to go ahead and make today. So make sure that you guys put in those coupon codes to get some rubies and some other goodies. Another thing that we do need to talk about is there is going to be a global live stream that is going to be taking place later on this evening. And as you guys can see, it is going to be starring none other than Justin Wong and Maximilian Dude. This is a huge deal for this game. This is a very, very cool collaboration within a collaboration. It's like a collaboration nesting doll. But it is a huge collaboration for the global stream for this game. I hope you guys check it out and definitely show your support to both of those guys because they are fantastic content creators here on YouTube and they definitely deserve our support. Now, with all that being said, obligatory smash that like button and subscribe before we go ahead and get into today's video. And without further ado, you guys, let's go ahead and get into the collaboration breakdown for the Street Fighter V update. Alright you guys, so as per tradition here on the channel, chapter functionality will be available on this video as well as timestamps in the description. So if you need to jump to whatever is the most important part of today's video for yourself, you may do so. But with that being said, we have a lot to get into today, so let's just go ahead and get it started. Now the first thing I want to go ahead and take a look at here is going to be the new check-in log. As you guys can see, this is going to be a 14-day check-in log, and these are going to be the rewards that are going to be available. In general, there are some pretty good overall rewards here. You guys are going to see a lot of value on this thing for a 2-week check-in log. And of course, it is going to culminate in these two items here. The first of which is going to be the Blue Jade option card. Now this option card is going to increase our attack, it's also going to decrease our skill cooldowns, and it's also at the end here going to increase our chill damage dealt by 60% for 5 seconds upon using an active skill on a cooldown of 13 seconds as a Chun exclusive. In general, this is a very, very solid overall free option card, and it is something that you don't even have to work towards. It's just something you're going to eventually get over time just for logging into the game. The art overall for these cards, in my opinion, because there will be more cards very much similar to this, just for other characters, is, in my opinion, very good. We talked about this in the update notice breakdown yesterday. I like the art that I'm seeing on all of these cards. As always, when it comes to the King of Fighters All-Star and their card art, it always is top-notch. And this card is very good, like I mentioned, for a free option, especially for those of you out there who are intending on building up Chun-Li. You'll definitely want to test this out on her. I get the feeling it's probably not going to be best in slot, but you never know, so you definitely will want to test it out and see. Now, with that being said, the final item that you're going to get for logging in on the 14th day is going to be this special relay gift box. Now, we've had these before. These things are very similar to a Russian nesting doll. Basically, you're going to get a box within a box within a box and so on. So basically, as you guys can see, you're going to open the first box, you're going to get these guys here, and then you're going to get another box. And then after a couple of days, you'll be able to open the next box, and that's going to contain these guys here, and so on and so forth. And eventually, this is going to end up with us getting this guy here, which of course is going to be the Street Fighter V Change-Up Kit Selection Box. And as you guys can see, you're going to be able to choose from Chun-Li, M. Bison, or Luke for their change-up kits. And in general, this is a really nice little box. Now, this is something that's going to take a while to get all the way through because typically these guys are going to be time-gated as far as when you can open each box, but it's not anything that is going to be that big of a deal. You'll just have to be a little bit patient. But in general, that is what we see this time around for the login bonus for the Street Fighter V collaboration. Overall, very, very solid stuff. Now, with that being said, we have a copious amount of events to go through. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and start off with the Rush Dungeon. So let's get into it. Now, when it comes to the Street Fighter V Rush Dungeon, structurally, we are looking at pretty much the exact same structure as we've ever seen with any Rush Dungeon. My recommendation, therefore, remains the same. You don't necessarily want to start burning a bunch of AP on this thing until you get to this guy here. The EX stage is generally going to be the most bang for your AP, and that's going to be where you're going to want to start grinding when it opens up. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the Rush Dungeon itself. Now, as you guys can see here, these are going to be the characters and cards that you're going to want to use. You end up gaining more of those drops, so that is what you're going to see there. It's basically just going to be your Street Fighter V collaboration content. We pretty much could have guessed that, but that is what you're going to be getting there. Now, when it comes to the exchange shop, this is of course going to be why we are grinding on this thing. Is it worth our AP? Well, spoiler alert, very much so. As you guys can see here, there is a ton of value in here, a ton of really, really good items for a Rush Dungeon event. You're right off the bat here going to see the Peaceful Days card set, and you are going to be able to craft up to 3 of these guys. So as you guys can see here, this is going to be the overall effects on this thing. It's going to be increasing our attack, as well as increasing Street Fighter V fighters' burn, shock, and chill damage by 75%, and increasing our attack by 22% for 7 seconds when a Street Fighter V fighter lands an active skill on a cooldown of 10 seconds. In general, this is a very, very strong little set, and I would definitely recommend that you guys pick these up. This is not something I would say is just going to be fodder. Instead, I think this is probably going to be a very solid set for specific fighters in this collaboration. Now, yes, it is restricted to only Street Fighter V characters, but the effects on here are very, very strong. So this is a really nice set for free. The fact that they're allowing us to get up to 3 sets of this thing is really cool. So it's going to mean that you're probably going to be grinding quite a bit on here, but it is a really solid set. Now, when it comes to the imprint stone selection boxes here, this is probably a good time for us to go ahead and talk about the imprint stones and just get that out of the way. So right off the bat, the circle stones for the Street Fighter V collaboration are going to increase Street Fighter V fighter strike skill damage. That is going to be your circle stone. When it comes to your hexagon stone, as you guys can see here, or your square stone, my bad. Your square stone is going to increase your fighter's critical damage, so we always like to see that one. And then finally, this is the hexagon stone. It is going to increase your Street Fighter V fighter's active skill damage. So in general, these are very good stones for these fighters, and you'll definitely have plenty of different ways to pick these up as you go through the updates and the events, so you won't necessarily, I don't get the feeling, have to worry about not having enough. It does seem as though there are going to be plenty of ways to get these for your favorite fighters, so don't worry too much about that. But as you guys can see, you will be able to get up to 3 of these guys from this exchange shop. Anything else in here is pretty much standard fare. We're going to see pretty much just some rare enhancement hammers. You're going to also see the Street Fighter V collaboration enhancement hammers as well, so you shouldn't have a drought for hammers during this collaboration at all either. And of course, we have our XP capsules as well as our plus capsules, and then we round it out with the usual affinity items and gold. So that is going to be the Rush Dungeon, you guys. In general, a very solid overall exchange shop. The Rush Dungeon this time around, I would say, is definitely going to be worth your AP, and so you guys are probably going to want to grind pretty hard on that thing. But that is going to do it for the Rush Dungeon. Next up here, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Path of the Immortal Tower. Now, as you guys can see, at this point, I cannot play this thing yet because I don't have any Street Fighter V characters, so that's going to be the first point. As with any collaboration tower, we are going to need the pertinent characters in order to play it. So as you guys can see, Banner 1 is going to be required for the first part of the tower, and then Banner 2, which we are going to have to still wait, unfortunately, to get, is going to be able to be used on the second tower. Now, from what people have gathered, you're going to probably be able to get a good amount of rubies off of these towers. These towers are going to have rubies for different tiers. I would go ahead and show you guys, but unfortunately I cannot because, again, I can't get in and play it yet, but we'll change that very soon. Now, with that being said though, the items in here are definitely going to be worth it, so you're probably going to want to make sure that you do these things 100% before the end of the event, probably sooner rather than later, because you're probably going to need those rubies. But with all of that being said, this shouldn't be anything that is too difficult for everybody, especially considering the fact that we are going to be able to get EX fighters fairly, I don't want to say easily, but a lot more easily than we have been up to this point before the collaboration. Now, with that being said, this thing is something you can kind of wait on. It isn't going to be anything that's too time gated. You can just get it done before the end of the event. But I would recommend, like I said, because there's so many rubies in there, you guys just make sure that you get it done as quickly as possible. I do believe that it's just shy of 100k CP at the final tier, so this shouldn't be anything, like I said, that's too difficult, and you'll probably be able to take this down with an A1 Awakening character, or even maybe less, depending on which character we're talking. So that is pretty much what we got with the tower. Not much else to be said there. Towers are usually pretty self-explanatory. Now, the next thing we're going to take a look at here is going to be the Smash the Car event. Now, the Smash the Car event, in general, is really going to have one part of the gimmick that's important, and that's going to be getting these guys here. Now, these Chun-Li crafting event coins are very important because of that crafting event that's currently ongoing for the collaboration, which we will talk about in this video. This is going to be one of the ways that you can pick that up. Now, basically, this is extremely simple and extremely easy. You're basically just going to play as Luke, and you'll just need to smash a car. I was actually able to finish this in like 5 seconds. It literally took no time at all. I think it was like 2 rotations of my skills and it was over. So with that being said though, don't make my mistake. You will need to use a finisher skill on this car in order to get the rubies. I know it's not a lot of rubies, but every ruby counts. So make sure you guys do that and take note of that, because I didn't clearly. Now, you can only play this 1 time a day, so you will be able to play this daily. And again, it's not going to be a major time dump because it only takes a few moments to get through. So I just figured I would go ahead and throw that in there real quick. So with that being said, let's go on to the next thing, which is of course going to be the guild raid event. And we are going to have a special guild boss, and this time around it is going to be Ryu, or not evil Ryu, evil Ryu. So again, I don't know why they just didn't do evil Ryu here. I mean, that's clearly what they're going for, right? But with that being said, if you guys take a look here, you're really just going to need a dot, so that isn't going to be anything that's that big of a deal. This is similar to what we've seen before with these Collab exclusive guild raids, but basically you're going to face off against Ryu here. Same rules apply. This time around, like I said, you just need a dot in order to go ahead and burn down that shield even quicker, so it shouldn't be anything that is too difficult. Overall, you don't need to score very highly in order to get this tier 3 box. And what is in the tier 3 box, you might ask? Well, there you go, you guys. So you're going to be getting quite a bit as far as being able to build up your character's stones. So that is going to be kind of what the gimmick is of this. You're going to get a bunch of hammers, you're going to get ores, you're going to get these guys here. So in general, there's going to be plenty of value there. This is something that shouldn't take you very long and shouldn't be that difficult. Like I said, you don't need to score that highly in order to get this box. And this is something that you guys can play up to twice a day. So this is something I would definitely recommend that you guys do. Try to get this thing done every single day. You definitely want those daily items, but that is pretty much going to be that. I can't play through this thing right now because I don't have a Street Fighter V character, because again, this is another one of those events that's going to require you to use the new characters. So until I get that, I can't test anything against this. But if you guys take a look here, we go all the way down here. I'll go ahead and use Teemo as an example. Big shout out to Teemo. Teemo right here has just a level 90 SS Luke, and he was able to hit that number. So it shouldn't be anything that's going to be that difficult for you guys. So like I said, that is going to be the guild raid, and I'll bring you guys a video taking a look at this in action whenever I get a character that can actually play it. So that is going to be that one. Next up here, I suppose the next thing we should probably talk about, what should we pick, you guys? Let's go ahead and pick the Carnival, right? So we have a Carnival. Now this is a memory Carnival. Now, when it comes to the memory Carnival, the big selling point here, as you guys can see, is going to be this change-up kit selector. Now, we basically get 2 change-up kit selectors with this collaboration. We get one that we're going to be able to get in that relay box, and then we're also going to get this one here. Now, what you're going to need to do, like I said, this is a memory Carnival, so you're going to need to get memories. There are plenty of different ways to do this. I'm not going to go through all the different ways in today's video. I can always make a separate guide on this. Now, as you guys can see, see though, I've already made quite a bit of headway on it, and I haven't even really been trying. And chances are, if you're summoning on these banners, you're probably going to get through this fairly quickly. However, if you need a couple of different ways to get these pretty quick, you can always see what kind of summoning tickets you have or tokens. You can go into the Hall of Elements shop and you can exchange for some fast memories there, because if you guys have not seen before, if you take a look here, you're going to be able to earn points, and you're going to be able to do that by getting these memories, and you're going to get more points depending on the rarity of the memory. So what you want to kind of pinpoint is going to be fast memories. That's why I bring up things like the Hall of Elements exchange shop, because that's a quick and easy way to do it. There's a million different ways you can get it. Like I said, you could probably just do this naturally if you're going to be summoning on these banners, but that is your prerogative, and it's up to you on what you want to do. You can even combine memories if you really want to. There's a bunch of different ways you can do this. However, when it comes to the rewards, we already brought up the change-up kit. That's very important, but you're also going to have this guy here, which is going to be a core board reset item, which will go a long way with some of these EX characters for this collab. And then you're also going to have another one of these imprint stone selection boxes, which we've already covered. You're going to have hammers, capsules, so on and so forth, with the most interesting other item on here being the Chun-Li nostalgia memory. So that is going to be something else you can go ahead and get. So in general, you guys, this shouldn't be anything too difficult. This is a memory carnival, so those are typically very easy. So with that being said, I think we can go ahead and move on from this guy. Just go ahead and do it on your own time. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is kind of two things that are interconnected. So what I want to do is I want to show you guys the event board here for the banner where you're going to be able to pick up Chun-Li. Now, as you guys can see, we've seen these before. If you guys were around during the Guilty Gear collaboration, this might harken back for you to the Saul Bad Guy event that we had, where we were able to pick up his memories as well as the character. If you take a look over here in your summoning tab, you'll be able to see exactly what I mean. So this is going to be the event summon this time around. Now, this thing, structurally speaking, what you're looking at is 1,000 of these coins from those event missions, which we'll go back to and kind of go through. But you're going to need 1,000 of those to go ahead and do a ×10 multi. So what you're going to do there is you're going to do that. It's going to count towards the mileage. 5 multis is going to net you an EX Chun-Li, who we will talk about momentarily, but that is what you're going to need to do in order to pick her up. Now, as far as what is in here, you are going to have a bunch of different cards as well as some different items. This thing is a bit of a mixed bag though, and the reason for that and why I say that is because they did take out any sort of collab tokens and replace them with unified banner tokens. Now, during the Guilty Gear collaboration, we were able to pick up tokens for the actual Guilty Gear banners. Unfortunately, this time around, we are not going to be able to do that. So this has been nerfed, and unfortunately, that is going to be something that's kind of a sticking point for me and kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. While some of these items in here are very nice, at the same time, again, this is a neutered event. So, you know, take it for what you will. I know that there's a lot of people out there not very happy with that. I'm not either. I just need to deliver the news to you guys, good or bad. So there you have it, and there you are. Now, as far as the events, and we'll come back and take a look at the cards when we talk about the event missions, but with the event missions, really my recommendation to you guys, and you guys saw I already have quite a few different coins from this thing. But basically, I've just been leveling up and limit breaking fighters. You can also go in and enhance your imprint stones. There's a million different ways that you can get these coins towards this thing. Some of them are going to be easier than others. A lot of this stuff is just going to be stuff you're going to be doing daily anyway. For me, unfortunately, I'm starting to run low on fighters that I can level up and limit break. I've been playing this game so long now that the entire roster is almost completely maxed out, so yikes, rip, but that is pretty much what I did. So there's plenty of different ways that you can pick up these coins for this thing. Just go through here and do whichever ones you can do and kind of grind on this thing. But like I said, leveling up, limit breaking your fighters, enhancing your imprint stones, so on and so forth, those tend to be the quickest and easiest. And this is a pretty easy overall event. Another one that's really cool, by the way, if you guys did not see it, is you're actually going to be able to use the affinity items on your characters. It doesn't matter what character, you just got to level up your affinity, and you'll also be able to get coins for this thing. So in general, I think that this should be a fairly easy event here at the beginning, like always with these things, to get through and get these coins. And unfortunately, it is going to get a little bit more difficult as these things start to dry up, because these things are finite, they aren't infinite. So eventually these things are going to dry up on you, and it's going to get a little bit more difficult to get these coins. But with that being said, if we go back to that banner, of course Chun-Li is going to be the main event of this banner. However, you're also going to have some other stuff in here that you definitely want to pay attention to. And I don't need to go through each and every single one of these, because all of these are going to be fairly asimilar. And if you guys remember, we talked about that Chun-Li card that you get for logging in on that 13th day for the login bonus right now. Well, you're basically going to see option cards for all the other collaboration characters in here. And as you guys can see, they are basically just going to buff whatever the dot is for that specific character and have the same overall effects for each one. So in general, this again is a really nice overall little pool of cards. This option card for these characters is not bad. Now again, I don't think it's necessarily going to be an option card for any of these characters that's going to be a must-have, but I do think that you're definitely going to want to pick these up, because they're probably going to be useful, especially for those of you out there who don't have a bunch of cards yet. Maybe you're a newer player or an intermediate player. This is a really nice overall free option for any of your favorite characters from this collaboration. Again, mainly because you're also going to be getting that decrease in skill cooldown, as well as your increase to your attack. So being able to buff the dot is almost secondary, especially again if you're somebody that doesn't have a lot of cards. I don't think that these cards are going to be anything that is going to be busted, but they are really nice for being free options. So that is pretty much what we're taking a look at there as far as the cards. I figure now is probably a good time to go ahead and take a look at Chun-Li. So let's go ahead and take a look at Chun-Li's kit and see if she's going to be worth all the time and effort. So you're first going to want to note that this is going to be the EX version of Chun-Li that you're going to be able to get here, which is very important to note. This character is already going to be EX once you obtain her, so that is very, very important. Now, when it comes to her leadership ability, this Chun-Li is going to increase balanced type fighters' attack by 40% and their critical rate by 10%. Not a very good leadership skill, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Now, she is a blue balance type, so not necessarily the best, but not necessarily the worst typing in the world. So in general, she doesn't really have a whole lot going for her as far as her leadership ability or her typing is concerned. But what does she have going on with her cores? Well, first and foremost here, you guys are going to see that 30% power charge rate increase. You're also going to see that she is going to be a chill-based character from these cores, so that is something we're going to be talking about a lot as we talk about her. She's also going to have some various other things in here that are worth noting, such as crit rate and her overall critical damage. So she is going to have some pretty nice little cores before we get to the exclusive ones, but of course the exclusive ones are going to be what matters the most. So first up here we have Master of Kicking. This is going to reflect freeze and chill. So really cool little core so far. Decreases her active skill cooldowns by 0.5 seconds upon attacking a chilled target. Very good. And then she's going to cast a shield that absorbs damage for 7 seconds when attacked if her HP is 70% or less, and removes that shield when attacked 30 times on a cooldown of 12 seconds. Now, we are all familiar with these shields. Now, this is not the crit hit shield, which is going to tend to be a little bit better, but at the same time, this core, with the fact that she is able to go ahead and natively decrease her active skill cooldowns, as well as having that shield, pretty much you have that reflective freeze and chill on there as a bonus, but overall, as a total package, Master of Kicking is an extremely good little core and a great way to kick off her exclusives. Now, she also has another exclusive core here, which is ICPO. She is going to become immune to damage for 4 seconds when attacked on a cooldown of 10 seconds. That is really, really solid there too. And she's going to, when damage is dealt to the target is a lot of numbers or less, deals additional damage equal to 800% of attack. So this character, these cores, very strong. This is a really good free character. I know that she is going to be kind of a premium free character. I don't even know if that's a term in gacha, but it should be. So she is going to be a character that is going to require you to work a lot to get her. And for some people, it may even require them to, depending on how they feel about Chun-Li, which I know she has a lot of fans out there, may require them to open the wallet if they really, really want to hit this hard and get as much for her as possible. But hey, I wouldn't recommend that because, yeah, not necessarily something I would say that you should do. But if you did, you'd probably be in the right if you're a fan of her, because she is looking very, very solid as a character. Now, she is going to have the Street Fighter V exclusive core that all these characters are going to share. However, this will be the first time we've talked about it, so let's go into it. It is going to increase attack by 40% if HP is 50% or more. So already really nice. And she's going to decrease damage received by 8% each time her HP decreases by 10%, and this stacks up to 5. So we see a really interesting Street Fighter V exclusive collaboration core here for these characters. Typically speaking, these vary from collaboration to collaboration. This time around, this one is really, really cool, and I do think it is very good. I think this is one of the better ones we've seen in a while, and in general, this character, core-wise, is super solid. So while she may not have had a whole lot going on as far as her leadership ability and her typing, she makes up for it with her cores. But none of that matters unless the skills are good. So let's take a look. So right off the bat, you guys are going to see, because she is an EX character, you're going to be able to see what you can get as far as her EX skill. Now this one here is going to be an interrupt, as per tradition. It is going to have a PvE exclusive of resetting your cooldowns of your active skills upon using it, and it is going to have the exclusive effect of resetting your tag cooldowns and decreasing all team members' awakened skill cooldowns by 6 seconds upon using it. This is an interesting skill. I can definitely see there being use cases for it, and overall, I think this is really solid to start. So let's talk about the actual skills though, right? So on the S1, we are going to have a blast skill. We had theorized on these skills when we had seen the trailers, and it looks like for the most part we were pretty much correct on most all of them. But it is a blast skill on the S1. You're going to use this to increase your attack by 70% for 5 seconds. You're going to apply cold spell for 10 seconds upon landing a skill. Again, this is a chill based character, and you're going to have a 70% chance to remove the target's hyper armor or shield upon landing a hit. A super good S1. In general, it is not a charge skill, but it is extremely good. Now, on to the S2, we are going to be able to increase the target's damage received by 45% for 5 seconds upon landing a skill. Again, very good. He's going to deal chill damage equal to 5.5 times of the remaining chill damage and remove chill effect when attacking a chilled enemy. So she does have that 5.5 times explosion on her chill damage. This is a character, again, extremely good, I think. She's going to be a very, very solid character. But you do like to see this on here. This is something that is going to help her damage numbers. If we remember back to that core where she's dealing just a ridiculous amount of damage on that one core, you guys are going to be able to see where this character's damage ramp is going to be very strong. And this is going to be a strike skill, so keep that in mind. Now, on to Spinning Bird Kick, which is going to be the S3. This is going to be where we see her interrupt. So this can be used when attacked, but it is limited to standing or airborne, so keep that in mind. It is also going to boast hyper armor for 3 seconds, which has pretty much become standard as we've established here on the channel before. And she's going to use it to freeze all enemies for 3 seconds on a cooldown of 7 seconds. Now this is really, really important. She's going to freeze all enemies for 3 seconds when using this. So basically this is akin to something like we have seen with these overall blanket CC effects on skills before, with characters such as maybe a Boss Syndrome Nameless as an example. But this character is going to have a CC just for using a skill. Another really, really good skill. This character is very, very good. Now, when it comes to her finisher, for her core finisher, it is going to be a 3PG, but it is going to have an 80% chance to reset the active skill cooldown when using a skill. Very, very good. Again, awesome overall kit. And then we of course have her 3PG card, which will have an effect on the card, which we'll talk about when we get there, but it is a 3PG, and that is pretty much what we got with this version of Chun-Li. So in general, this is an extremely strong character. I think this is a very, very good character, and one that you're probably going to want to really look at as far as building her. And I know that I am definitely looking forward to doing that myself. So that is going to be that Chun-Li that is going to be available on this event summon. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the next part of the update, which is going to be Chun-Li's crafting event. If you guys haven't seen a theme yet, Chun-Li is a pretty big theme when it comes to this collaboration. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. And quick editor's note, apparently my audio decided that it was going to act up at this point in the video, so I had to cut out a section of the next clip. So I do want to go ahead and give you guys a bit of information that I had to cut out. Unfortunately, you'll probably be able to tell. Sorry, I did what I could. These things happen. What can you do? But when it comes to the Chun-Li craft event, this version of Chun-Li is buildable with dimensional invitations. So basically what that means, you guys, is you can go ahead and just use your dimensional invites on this version of Chun-Li, and so therefore her memories are not all that important. So you can go ahead and just parlay those into the craft event, and that way you can still build the character and be able to take advantage of these different craft items for these other characters. I just figured I would go ahead and do a quick edit for that because it's such an important bit of information that I didn't want to just cut it out of there and not mention it. So I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that if you weren't already. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get back to the video. Now, when it comes to the Chun-Li crafting event, there's going to be a couple of things that you guys are going to need to know. Now, if you remember back to when we were talking about that event where we were smashing that car with Luke, you did note that I went ahead and pointed out that these guys were going to be dropping from there, and that is going to be because these are very important. These are going to be part of what you need in order to craft some of these items. So the big gets in here, of course, are going to be, as you guys can see, memories for Luke and Bison. Now, this is very, very cool. If you guys take a look, you can do this up to twice per character, right? So you're going to be able to get a max of 2 memories for each one of these guys, but unfortunately, what it's going to cost you is going to be quite a bit. It is going to cost you 3 memories for this Chun-Li here. So this Nostalgia Chun-Li is going to be the memories you're going to need in order to craft these memories for either of these characters. I know I personally am hoping that I don't need to necessarily do this, although I will definitely be considering it for Bison myself. You guys know me, I'm quite the fan of Bison and Akuma. But with that being said, you will need her memories in order to do this. That isn't anything that should be majorly steep if you're a giant fan of either of these guys. And let's move on to the cards, because there are going to be a couple of cards in here as well. If we take a look, we are going to have this option card here. This is going to increase our crit rate, increase our attack, and also increases Street Fighter V fighters' critical damage. So this is a good option card, but as we will establish when we get to the card banner, unfortunately the card set for the Street Fighter V collaboration is not crit based. So it does kind of take away some of the luster of some of these options, unfortunately, and that'll be something we kind of note as we go. But this is a really strong option card, again, for a free option. Premium free, free premium, but it is a free option card. You'll just need these guys here. Again, you just need to be grinding on your events and taking advantage of everything during the collaboration to get these, but it is a very solid option. Now, this option here, on the other hand, isn't necessarily. This one decreases your damage received, increases your defense, and increases Street Fighter V fighters' HP. This isn't a very good card. You're definitely going to probably just want to focus on this one. I would get them both because this stuff may or may not ever come back. Chances are it won't. So probably worth picking them both up, but of the two, this guy here is definitely going to be the one you want. Now, other things that are going to be in here, if you guys take a look, you are going to be able to craft Chun-Li's special card. Now, if we take a look here, I had mentioned that Chun-Li is going to have an exclusive effect on her 3PG and that we would come back to it. Well, this is where we come back to it. We increase our critical rate by 5% and our crit damage by 20% for 10 seconds when using it. Really, really good overall little skill here that is just added in addition to her 3PG. Now, if you guys noted here, you are going to be able to pick from the attack, the skill, or the crit card, so that is going to be nice as well. My recommendation to you guys is going to be to go for the skill one. That is the one that I always recommend. So with that being said, you guys, that is pretty much the crafting event. Not much else to be said about it. You guys just need to make sure that you're playing through your events and making sure that you're picking up these guys from wherever you can, which, as you guys can see, this is where you're going to be able to get these. But with that being said, speaking of crafting, let's go ahead now and take a look at the craft menu, because you're going to note that there's going to be a little item here. And this item here is actually going to be very, very valuable. So let's go ahead and take a look at this real quick. So as you guys can see, I am able to get one of these guys here, and this is a selection ticket, right? Now this selection ticket is very important. Why? Because this selection ticket is going to contain a memory for any one of these characters of your choosing. So this is going to be an SS Fighter selector. The way that you're going to be able to obtain this, we've already talked about this a couple of times. They've announced this and talked about this over on the official forums. But basically, it does appear as though this is going to be available for everybody. We had speculated whether or not that would be the case, because you can't necessarily ever depend on CM Yuri's patch notices, because typically speaking, there are going to be some kind of funny translations in there when it comes to those. So we didn't know if this was necessarily just going to be exclusive for new players, or if it was going to be also available for us veterans. But as you guys can see, I was able to pick it up, and you should be able to pick it up as well. Now, the way that you're going to be able to get what you need in order to exchange for this is actually going to be available over here in your event tabs. So if we take a look here, I've already gone ahead and done this, so I can't show you guys anymore. These are just going to be available if you already have the characters built up from the super mission that they just ended up adding. I'll go ahead and pop up a screenshot on screen here so you guys can see which characters we're talking about. And again, if you want to go check out the forum post to see what characters it is that you need, you can do that as well. But that should answer that question. But if you've already built up these characters, acquired memories for these characters, you're going to be able to get these things. They're going to be over here in your event missions. So just pay attention to that. That's where they were for me. But when it comes to who you should pick on this selector, in my opinion, the character you should pick is going to be SS Kyo. That is the character that is going to be the best of all of these. Now, there is a case to be made to just sit on this thing. I would say you could just do that if you wanted to. But if you want to go ahead and pick up a character, I think that the character you should pick up is Kyo. Kyo is the best of the grouping, and chances are he is going to be getting an EX version before the rest of these guys, if those polls are anything to go off of from that recent survey. So that is just another little aside that I wanted to go ahead and make sure I noted to you guys. This is very important. An SS Kyo is a very great character even to this day, and again, he will get buffed eventually, so make sure you guys pay attention to that. Now, with all of that out of the way, we are going to have to now talk about the codex for the characters for the Street Fighter V collaboration. So let's go ahead and jump into this guy. So this time around, as you guys can see, the codex looks the same, but there are some changes to what the rewards are. And it's going to depend on whether or not we're talking the codex for a character that is going to be a non-EX or an EX, because that is going to change what you're going to be able to get on here just a little bit at the end. So if we go ahead and take a look here, we'll go ahead and start off with an EX character, and we'll use Ryu as an example. So as you guys can see, you are going to be able to pick up this guy here, which is going to be an EX core board reset item, and you're still going to be able to get a box for each corresponding tier for your awakening tier for a stone. So those are going to be selection boxes, but in general, not anything we really need to explain there. We've already talked about what the stones do this time around. But at the end, you're going to see that instead of hammers now, you are going to be able to get rubies as well as prime memory shards. So of course, you're going to need these prime memory shards for your EX characters in order to go ahead and continue building them. So this is a really nice overall little reward. I would have preferred to have had this than hammers, to be honest with you guys. So what they did is they basically flip-flopped the rubies with where the hammers used to be, and then took out the hammers for these guys here for your EX characters. Now, if we're talking about a character that is a non-EX character, you're going to see pretty much the same stuff until we get to the end, and then they bring back the hammers and replace your rubies to the final item here for your awakening level 5, like it's always been. So that's pretty much what we've got as far as the codex is concerned. I would say that the codex, the way they handled it for these characters that are going to be EX characters, is actually very nice. Now, one thing you will notice here, though, is that for this version of Chun-Li, she is going to not have the rubies. So what you'll see here is instead they put the hammers as the final awakened tier items that you'll get, and they took out the rubies for these guys here. So unfortunately, that kind of sucks, but at the same time, I guess it sort of makes sense since she is technically less rare than the rest of these characters. So that's pretty much what we're seeing as far as the codex is concerned for right now. So with that being said, you guys, I would say that the next thing that we should probably talk about is going to be the in-shop collaboration items. So as you guys can see, we are going to have a lot of different packages here, and I'll kind of go through these briefly. So this guy here is going to net you for $10 IRL money. Keep that in mind. It is going to net you a multi-token for the fighters and for the cards. For $10, I would say that this is a nice little dolphin or minnow friendly package. In general, I would say for somebody that's wanting to spend just a little bit of money, maybe wait and see what's going on with the pass and see if you like that. You can actually check out what's in the battle pass over on the official forums, even though it's not available yet. But that might be something you might want to save your money for. If you're just wanting to make a small investment into the game, maybe you're getting into the game for the first time and you're wanting to start really sitting down and playing it and you're a huge Street Fighter fan, then that would maybe be the best option, is to wait for that, to see what's going on there, and to maybe look at that forum post before you make a decision on something like this. Because while this is valuable for people that don't have a lot of money to spend, I would say that there's better ways of spending. Now, we go all the way up to a $40 package next. This is going to involve 1,400 or 1,500 rubies. Actually, I can math. It's not too early for math. And then you get double the tokens. So you get 2 for the fighters and 2 for the cards. Another thing to keep in mind with these packages is right now these are for volume 1. So if you're somebody that prefers what's on volume 2 as far as characters are concerned, you might want to wait even for that. So keep that in mind. But when it comes to the packages here, I would say this one here, this is more of getting into just a dolphin package. There's no minnow about this one. This one is even starting to get closer to the whale end of things. For what you're getting here with the value, it's okay, but for $40, I would say there's far better ways you can spend a $40. I don't really care for that one too much. Now, from there, we go all the way up to the main whale package. So we've seen these a million times. When it comes to this, these have been neutered a million times as well. So unfortunately, these are nowhere near as good as they used to be. But if you guys take a look here, you are going to be able to pick up pretty much 4,270 rubies. Odd number, I know, but that's what you get. And then you get 4 multis for the Volume 1 fighters and the Volume 1 cards. So in general, this used to be, like I said, much more valuable. It's hard for me to recommend this because of how much it's been nerfed. I don't like this. I don't like how they keep messing with these things. It's all right. I would definitely say if you're a whale, you're gonna whale, so, you know, go crazy. But it's just, by comparison to old ones, it's not that great. But if you're gonna whale, I guess that's pretty much where you're gonna have to whale. Now, from there, we get into some other types of packages here. These guys here, we'll just briefly go through this. This guy is going to be $4.99. You're going to get some rubies, you're going to get some plus capsule selectors, and then you're going to get these guys here that you can add in, so you can pretty much pick what you want. I would never do that, ever, so don't do it. On this guy here, kind of the same story. I would never do that, especially for the price. $30, are you kidding me? No. When it comes to this guy here, just be patient. Why would you spend $40 just to be impatient? No, don't do that. Then you got these guys here. For $12.99, you're getting some hammers, but these guys have been nerfed a million times too. I wouldn't recommend this one. And then finally, we have one that's actually going to cost you rubies if you want it, and I would never recommend this item. So, with that being said, you guys, that's pretty much going to be the packages in here. I don't really have much else I really have to say about it. I don't think that there's a whole lot else we really need to talk about outside of these guys in here, so we'll just jump to these. So, basically, for 100 gold every day right now, you can get this. Definitely do this every day. This is going to be worth it. AP is always worth it. However, when it comes to these guys, do I think these are worth it? It depends on how much you really want to just build up that Chun-Li as fast as possible. If you want to do this, you could. I would say that honestly, this is something that you may want to wait until towards the end to see what you've got and where you're at. Because right now, this is not something you really need to go crazy on. There's still plenty of those event missions that we can do right now in order to pull on that Chun-Li banner. And even though this thing is going to give you some rubies as well, all of these are, it's still very steep. I mean, basically, you're talking $40 for a pity, right? So, I don't know. I mean, right now, for an EX character, is it worth it? It depends on how much you're planning on investing and what you're planning on doing on these banners. Like I said, I would wait and maybe wait till the last couple weeks maybe. Right now it's so early, I don't think you need to even worry about doing stuff like this. And if you're a major fan, maybe you decide at that point that you want to do it. But right now I would say hold off. But these are here if you're somebody that is looking to do that. So with all of that out of the way, you guys, I think that we can finally start moving on to the main event of today's video, which is of course going to be the characters banners. And so what we're going to do first is we're going to talk about the fighters cards, and then we're going to talk about the fighters themselves, because I figure that that's probably the most democratic way of doing things, because we're probably going to spend a lot more time on the fighters than we are these cards. Now, with the card banner, it is structured the same as any other card banner for a collaboration. You guys are going to see here that pretty much nothing has really changed. Everything is pretty much in place. You're going to see the mileage for the pity here. Not much has changed. The pity is going to be able to net you any card that you want from here, including being able to pick which version of the finisher you want as far as skill is concerned. So there is that. Now, when it comes to the actual cards this time around, we'll start off here and talk about the set. So the set here is going to increase attack. It's going to have some awesome art, by the way. Again, hate to be the art nerd, but this stuff looks great. But when it comes to the effects on here, you are going to increase Street Fighter V fighters' active skill damage by 25%. You're going to increase their attack by 20% for 5 seconds when a Street Fighter lands an active skill, and then you're going to become immune to damage for 3 seconds when a Street Fighter V fighter's HP is 10% or less on a cooldown of 35 seconds. This is a really good set. I don't want to undersell this set. I would have preferred to have seen a crit set because of the CP boost that goes along with it for specific modes, but as far as the set is concerned, this is not a bad set. I wouldn't say that this is a set that's uber tier busted stupid stuff, but it is very, very good. So in my opinion, this is a set you're probably going to at least want to pick up a set of. I would definitely recommend that, at least if you can make it happen, but don't be feeling bad if you can't, because I don't think that you're going to miss out on something that is just going to make or break your account or your gameplay experience going forward. I think this is going to be a set that is going to be very fun to use, because it does have a fun little gimmick here, kind of like an Akane, where you become immune to damage for 3 seconds when your HP is 10% or less. So there's going to be definite use cases for this set, but at the same time, I don't necessarily think that it is going to be 100% necessary the same way the Guilty Gear set was for the Guilty Gear fighters. So that is a good set, but not just broken, stupid, busted. Now, with that being said, we do have other things to talk about in here. So first up here, let's talk about Ryu's finisher card. This is going to be Ryu's 3PG. It's going to increase his attack by 12% for 10 seconds when using it. Overall, very, very good stuff. Helping him out with his attack. He's really just out there to do damage, so hey, he'll take it. Now, when it comes to Luke, he's going to obtain 12% power when using this. Now, this is something that's going to be very important when we get to Luke and talk about his kit, so keep this effect in mind. Another really, really good effect that's even better when you consider what is going on in his kit, which we'll talk about. Then, of course, we've already talked about Chun-Li's, but just to reiterate, we increase our critical rate by 5% and our critical damage by 20% for 10 seconds. Really, really solid. And then we have, finally here, the option cards. So, when it comes to the option cards, we'll start off with the Path Towards the Legend. Now, this is going to increase attack. It's going to increase crit damage, but then it is going to increase our Street Fighter's critical rate. So this is a really good option. I like this option a lot, but this is where not having a crit set really is kind of a bummer. If you're somebody that has a Tekken set, fun times are ahead. But I do think that this is going to be a very good option card, but I don't think it is necessarily absolutely must have. The main reason being is you don't see skill cooldown on here. And again, these guys do not have a crit-based set with their set card for this collaboration. So I do think that that affects the conversation, but I do think it's still an extremely solid option. And then the final stop of Ambition is so cool. I love this art. This is my favorite card of all this stuff just for the art. This is going to increase our skill damage by 8%. It's going to increase our attack. by 5%, and then it's going to increase our Street Fighter V fighter's darkness and starlight damage by 25%. So obviously this is going to be a good little option for specific characters. However, I don't think, again, in the same vein as the rest of these, that this is going to be anything that is an absolute must-have. So if this were something you missed out on, unless you mind missing out on that gorgeous art, I don't think you really need to worry too much about it. It is good, but I don't think it's anything that is overly broken. I think that all these cards are kind of mid, if I'm being honest, for the most part. The set, I would say, is the jury's still out on, because I would like to test it. But overall, I wouldn't say that these are anything that are going to be uber tier right now. So that's just my opinion, though, and that could change over the course of these events as I'm able to test things. It's always very tough to just kind of make knee-jerk reactions based on text, but I would say that that'd be how I'd feel by the end of it more than likely. Now, with all that out of the way now, we need to talk about the fighters. What we're going to do here, we've already talked about one fighter in today's video, but we have another version of Chun-Li that we need to talk about. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Nostalgia variant of Chun-Li. So Nostalgia Chun-Li is going to be a green defensive type, which is very good, and she is going to increase all fighters' attack by 20% and their active skill damage by 30%, which isn't necessarily all that good. However, in general, this is a very solid little character, which we'll find as we go through the kit. So like I said, typing-wise, very strong, good for things such as RHD, but the leadership skill is, not very good. Now, when it comes to the core effects, however, we have a lot to talk about here. She is going to have a 20% power charge rate increase, and she is going to have her exclusive cores here. So Nostalgia is going to decrease her active skill cooldowns by 0.2 seconds upon attacking a poisoned target, and she's going to increase her active skill damage to chilled targets by 100%. She's also going to have a PvP exclusive that applies the target's buffs from active skills to the caster for 5 seconds upon landing an active skill on a cooldown of 10 seconds. This is a good, solid overall core. It is very strong, in particular if you're in PvP because of this line here. But in general, for a character that does not have the SS tag, if you guys didn't notice that, this is not an EX character. At native, when you summon her, she is not an SS character. So for the fact that she does have a pretty nice overall set of cores here, for being a character that's none of those things, that is going to be something that I think you're going to notice as far as the strength level going through here, but you're also going to notice that she's still extremely strong despite that. So I would say she is definitely in a good spot, but we'll continue here and I'll continue to explain why. But really, I do think that decreasing your active skill cooldowns on a character like this is invaluable, and being able to increase your active skill damage to chilled targets by 100% is very strong. Now, Investigator in charge of Shadowloo is going to decrease damage received by 60% when attacked by a target that has 100% HP. So that's a nice little nerf to damage there. That's not bad. She's going to have a PvP exclusive of a 50% chance to disable the attacker's special moves for 10 seconds when attacked, on a cooldown of 15 seconds. Very strong in PvP. And then she is going to have the Street Fighter V collaboration exclusive core, which, as we've already established by talking about the other Chun-Li, is extremely good. Now, in general, cores leave a little bit to be desired, I'll admit, but not too shabby, like I said, for a non-SS or EX character. However, really what matters next is going to be the skills. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look here. Now, as you guys are going to see, she is going to have this guy here for her EX skill, which is Transfer. It is going to reset the tag cooldown and decrease all team members' Awaken skill cooldown by 4 seconds upon using it. Very interesting use cases there that you could definitely make a case for. And it is, of course, going to have the standard Airborne, Knockdown, and Standing Interrupt, as well as the PvE exclusive of resetting your cooldowns on your active skills upon using it. Now, getting into the skills. She is going to have here on the S1 the ability to increase her attack by 70% of defense for 7 seconds when using a skill. Very strong multiplier. All team members obtain 4% power upon use on a cooldown of 3 seconds. Also very good. Specifically for things such as time attack, I can see that being extremely nice. She's going to deal chill damage equal to 49% of attack every 1 second for 10 seconds upon landing a skill, and that is going to do it for the S1. So as we talk about these skills, you start to see why I say this character, for not being an SS or an EX character at native when you summon her, she is going to have some really nice perks to her. Now, when it comes to the S2, This is going to be able to be used when attacked, so it is an interrupt, while it is limited to standing or knockdown. It is going to give you hyper armor for 3 seconds. Again, really important. So that's another pairing of your interrupt with your hyper armor, as we've established, and increases attack by 70% of defense for 7 seconds when using a skill. So when you take into consideration that she has the same percentage here on both of these, that's pretty fun. In general, this character is looking like she is going to be hitting pretty hard for what she is, and I'm very curious to be able to build her up and see just what she's capable of. Now, on the S3, she is going to be able to use this to increase her attack by 50% for 7 seconds, and deals poison damage equal to 49% of attack every 1 second for 10 seconds. So we do have a mixed dot kit. We have poison, and we have chill, and we have a 10-second duration on both. So in general, very, very powerful stuff. Now, we get into her finishers. You're going to notice she doesn't have any effects here. We already talked about the effect on her 3PG finisher card. So in general, this is a really solid overall character that is going to make you question whether or not you want to burn her memories to craft in that Chun-Li craft menu. I would say that this is a character that is probably worth building, especially depending on where you're at in the game. If you're a non-veteran player, this is a character that you're going to get a ton of value out of, especially considering her excellent mixed dot coverage. And I think that this is a character that is going to be very, very underrated as we go through this collaboration. Some people may look at her as fodder, but I don't necessarily think so. I think this is going to be a solid little overall character. And I think that you might want to play around with her before burning any of those and just kind of see how you feel. So with that being said, we're going to talk about Luke next, because he is going to be the SS fighter here. And real quick before we talk about him, you guys are going to notice a little bit of a change to the rates because of the EX fighters natively being EX when you summon them. And you're going to see that over here. They've also changed the animations when it comes to summoning, so it'll be pretty apparent when you get an EX character, in this case Ryu. It would shine with that shadow around that border for the token whenever you're seeing the multis there. You're going to see that it's gold instead of that purple or pink or whatever you want to call it. So you are going to notice a difference. The flames before the box even opens are also yellow or gold or whatever again you want to call that. So in general, this is going to be something that's very cool as you summon to kind of look out for, but just figured I'd throw that in there. As far as rates are concerned, I've heard a ton of good news about that from people. Apparently people are pulling these characters pretty well. Now, of course, that's always going to be up to the individual, and that's going to be something that is pretty much going to be different from one player to the next. But it does seem as though the rates on these aren't necessarily the end of the world. And no, you cannot use dimensional invitations to build up any of these characters that are going to be EX. So keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to the characters, we need to move on though and talk about Luke. So Luke here is going to be a yellow balance fighter, and he is going to have a leadership ability that increases balance type fighters' attack by 40% and their critical damage by 50%. In general, that's an interesting leadership skill. I'm actually quite interested to play around with him as the leader for specific characters just to see. I don't necessarily think it's the best thing in the world, but I don't think it's necessarily as bad as it might look either. I kind of want to play around with that, like I said. Now, he is going to be a yellow balance type, so not anything to write home about there, unfortunately. But this character, I know he's pretty controversial. I know a lot of people out there think the cool thing is to hate on Luke, but Luke is he's a freaking brick shit house. Let's talk about how. This character has a 30% power charge rate increase right off the bat. You'll love to see it. And then he has some really nice overall mixed cores in here. He's going to increase his crit rate, his crit damage rate, his skill enhanced to blast and strike. And this character has some really nutty effects, not only on the cores, but also on the skills. So on former Special Forces Operative, we're going to deal Starlight damage equal to 5.5 times of the remaining Starlight damage and remove Starlight upon landing an active skill on the target affected by Starlight on a cooldown of 1 second. So not at all bad. That is actually something that you can work with. Yes, it is on the cores, but if you guys have not seen the footage yet of this character doing damage, this character is damage. Lots of damage. So while this may seem on the surface, because it's on the core and therefore not something you can kind of control that well, not as good, trust me, this character's damage will make up for it. You're going to be happy. with the damage that this character's putting up if you invest into him. I know that a lot of people out there don't like this character, but this character is really, really solid in this game. Now, he also has a 30% chance to stun the attacker for 1.5 seconds when attacked on a cooldown of 15 seconds. Also very strong. So this character, really good core so far, but it gets better. On Video Game Mania, we have a 40% chance to reset our active skill cooldown upon landing Sandblaster on a cooldown of 13 seconds, with a PvP exclusive of when attacked, disabling the attacker's active skills for 3 seconds on a cooldown of 12 seconds. And then of course we have that really good Street Fighter V exclusive core. So being able to reset your active skill cooldown, very strong. The PvP exclusive of when attacked, being able to disable the attacker's active skills for 3 seconds is devastating. And in general, the cores are very strong, but the skills are really where this character takes it up a notch. Now, right off the bat, he does have Shout. I think we're all familiar with Shout, so we don't need to go into that. However, if we take a look here on the S1 with Sandblaster, which is a projectile, he is going to be able to increase his attack by 60% for 5 seconds and apply Radiant to the target for 12 seconds upon landing a skill, guard included, and he is going to decrease his cooldowns of his ultimate moves by 5 seconds upon landing a skill. Really, really good, and it continues to snowball with this character. Keep in mind what that skill on that 3PG finisher did, because that is something that if you pair it up with this guy, pretty good stuff. Now, on Flash Knuckle, which is a strike skill, he is going to be able to use this when attacked while standing or airborne. So this is your interrupt, and you are going to stun all enemies for 1.5 seconds upon using this, and apply Radiant to the target for 12 seconds upon landing a skill. Now, the reason why this character is going to be so much fun, in my opinion, is because that Starlight application is very, very long. And so that is something you're definitely going to want to keep in mind, because he has two 12-second applications. So yes, he does have Explosion, but that's really, really good. Now, on the S3, this is going to be the final active skill here, and it is going to be another strike skill. This can be used when attacked. So you're going to notice that they actually separated the hyper armor from the interrupt here up on this skill. But then when we get down here, we have the hyper armor on this one, again with an interrupt. So that is another interrupt on his kit, and this time with hyper armor. So he's going to have one without the hyper armor up here, and then he's going to have one with the hyper armor here. So again, this is going to be limited to standing or airborne, just like this one. So they're both standing or airborne. You're going to use it to increase your attack by 60% for 5 seconds, and then that 3-second hyper armor. So in general, again, this character is nothing fancy. This is a character that is fairly asimilar, not necessarily asimilar, but fairly similar to a character such as Kyo before him, who again shares the same voice actor with, but basically kind of similar to a Kyo, kind of similar to a character such as Terry. He's just a character that's a big old brawling damage dealer, and he does it very, very well. Trust me. If you get him, while he may not be your favorite, try him out. You'll be happy with the damage. Now, on the 3PG finisher, he is going to have that effect we already talked about, but on his core finisher, he's also going to have an additional effect of gaining 15% power and increasing his attack by 15% for 10 seconds. This character just uses finishers. So in general, good stuff. This character is just going to be throwing finishers out left and right with all these different ways to snowball his power charge. So again, I think this character is wonderful. I think this is going to be a character that a lot of people are going to probably end up overlooking, again, kind of like I said with that Chun-Li, because there's just so many more popular characters in this collaboration. But at the same time, you'll definitely be doing yourself a disservice if you just write Luke off, because this is a really, really good character. Now, that being said, he is an SS fighter, and he is not going to be EX when you summon him like Ryu will be, who we're about to talk about. So he is going to be quite the investment if you want to overbuild him. But like I've said in the past, I don't think you even need to do that at this point, because honestly, whether you go ahead and EX character at Awakening level 3 or you just build him up to Awakening level 5, at this point in the game, there's nothing that is locking you out of anything without having an EX fighter yet. So right now it's not necessarily priority 1, but you know, EXing a character at Awakening level 3 like this, probably gonna be doing a lot of damage. Just gonna throw that out there. So It's up to you on how you want to do things, but there you have it. Now, speaking of EX, we've saved the big boy for last. We have Ryu. Now, Ryu is a yellow attack type fighter, very good typing, with a leadership skill that increases Street Fighter V fighter's attack by 65%. Wonderful leader for the Street Fighter characters, great typing. This character has both of these things in spades. You would have assumed so. It's Ryu, why wouldn't he? But it continues to get pretty nutty. Now, Ryu has a 30% power charge rate increase. He has an increase to his crit damage rate. He has an increase to his critical rate. He has a continuous damage enhanced to shock. He has all sorts of fun in here, and that shock is going to be something we're going to talk about. He's going to have a skill enhanced to strike and an increase to attack to round out just your general cores before we get into his exclusives. So the first exclusive here is going to reflect stun and starlight. Pretty good. And resets one active skill's cooldown upon landing a skill on a cooldown of 5 seconds. Pretty nice. Then he's going to have a PvP exclusive of casting the crit hit shield. Now, this is not, keep in mind, available in PvE. This may be a bit of a sour point for some people. Everybody loves the dome shields, and they especially like that crit one. But unfortunately, it is not going to be available in PvE. It will only be available in PvP. Now, he is also going to have Indomitable Fighting Spirit for his final exclusive core that increases his attack by 12% and penetration by 1000 for 5 seconds for each attack and stacks up to 5. Really nice multipliers there. And becomes immune to damage for 4 seconds when his HP is 30% or less on a cooldown of 10 seconds. And then, of course, he has the Street Fighter V core. So, overall, these cores may not seem all that impressive to some people at first. They'll be looking at this and going, oh, those are solid, but they aren't overly dumb. Wait till we see the skills, and then we'll talk at that point about whether this character is going to be good. Spoiler alert, this character does damage. Now, when it comes to his EX skill, he is going to have Energize here. So basically Energize is going to have your standard interrupt. It's going to have the PvE exclusive that's standard where it resets your cooldowns for your active skills, but you also reset your tag cooldown and increase all team members' attack by 30% for 15 seconds. Really interesting, and again has some interesting implications for use cases, so not too shabby whatsoever. However, let's get into the actual skills. So we have Hadouken, right? His signature Hadouken. This is used to increase attack by 50% for 7 seconds and drops lightning on the target for 10 seconds. So there you go, there's your dot. Of course, we all know that shock damage is very important, especially for things such as, oh, I don't know, Nightmare Geese in Guild Raid. So great stuff. Also, all of these characters so far from what I've seen, including mainly Luke and Ryu here, absolutely demolish the guild dungeon. So keep that in mind as well. On Shoryuken, we have used to increase attack by 50% for 7 seconds, increase the target's damage received by 35% for 7 seconds, and shock explosion equal to 5.5 times on a cooldown of 1 second. So this is going to be shock explosion. It isn't on a core, so you can kind of move around it if you feel like you need to. In general, great skill overall, but I think you guys know what's coming on the S3 since we haven't talked about it yet. Yes, he does have an interrupt, standing or airborne on the S3, and he is going to have hyper armor for 3 seconds with a 70% chance to remove the target's hyper or armor or shield upon landing a hit. And as you guys can see, he has mainly strike skills with the projectile skill on the S1 and then onto his finishers. So that is going to be the active skills. If we take a look at the finishers, we are going to have a 3PG core finisher, just like all these characters. It's going to be used to increase attack by 20% for 10 seconds. Really nice stuff, especially when you consider, while it isn't listed here, the 3PG finisher, as we've already established, also increases your attack. So in general, Ryu is damage, 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 and one of the top damage dealers right now in the game. Going to be in the Uber tier with all the other Ubers, as well as Luke. So at this point, these characters have pretty much made it apparent that they are going to be extremely powerful. Now, the ultimate question that I'm going to get asked here is going to be, should you summon? Now, this is something that I cannot fully answer for you yet because we do not have any way of knowing exactly what Akuma and Bison do just yet. Those are the two characters that I'm most looking forward to. So you guys know me, I have been talking for like 2-3 years now on this channel, the whole time since I've been doing video content about how I want Akuma in this game. So for me, I'm biased. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna be waiting to go all in until then, and then I will go ahead and see what I have left over from pulling for those guys. But if you're a major fan of any of these characters, especially since there's going to be a lot of content right now, which I'm going to come back to at the end of this video, a lot of content right now, you need some of these characters to play through it with. Maybe you kind of just decide that you're going to pull until you get a character and then just jump in to some of the in-game content. Maybe you decide to wait to see the other kits. Maybe these are your favorites and they're the ones you wanted and they happen to be the release banner and you want to go ahead and pull for them. I would say there is no right or wrong answer here. I would say, however, I am one of those people that likes to have all the information first, so that's why I'm going to wait before spending a major amount of rubies on these banners for the next one, not even considering my bias, just because I do get the feeling, just based on what I've seen from trailers, that those characters are going to be really strong. And again, because they're my favorites, I'm going to wait for them to invest the majority of my rubies. But again, these characters are worth it if you like them. So if they are your favorites and you don't necessarily care about the Volume 2 banner, then maybe just decide, hey, you know what? Screw it, I'm going, because that wouldn't be a bad decision. This is a great banner. These characters are all fantastic, and I don't really think that there's a right or wrong way of doing this at this point, especially considering the fact that there really isn't a consolation prize. Even if you don't like the Chun-Li, while she is very good, in my opinion, you can go ahead and use those memories to craft memories for a character you might like. So again, there's a lot to consider, but I do think as far as the power level, yeah, of course, definitely, they're all going to be worth it. As far as the cards go, I would say that the finishers right now are going to be priority one, obviously, especially if you're going to be summoning. Mainly because, honestly, you guys, these cards here are going to be necessary for the performance, probably. I would definitely try to get the finishers for whatever corresponding character you're wanting. I think the set card, while extremely good, I don't think you necessarily need to prioritize it right now. I don't think it's going to make or break any of these characters for the most part. And then when it comes to the options, like I said, those also I don't feel like are going to make or break anybody. So that is pretty much what we've got as far as the banners. Now, of course, being that this is the 500th video here on the channel, and being that it is the release day, you guys know we're going to do some form of summons, right? So what I figure we're going to go ahead and do here is what we'll go ahead and do is we'll go ahead and pull on this guy a little bit, because I do have just a few of these coins. You know what? You know what, guys? I'm going to do you all solid. Since I'm so close, we're going to go ahead and just get this up to 3,000. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Alright, you guys, so I went ahead and enhanced some imprint stones. That way we could go ahead and just do a nice little 3-pack of these. So let's go ahead and do these real quick. We're not going to be able to go to the pity, obviously, but hey, I think in the spirit of this being our 500th video, we need to do some summons, right? Especially considering the fact that this is the Street Fighter collaboration. So we take a look here. Oh, I did get a selection grab bag ticket. That's fun. Okay, well, that's something. Overall, I really wish these tokens. Now, this is where I'm going to start talking about my opinions, since I haven't gotten into my opinions yet also. So for those of you who've been waiting for me to complain about something, I do have some complaints. I don't think that this necessarily is the end of the world as far as collaborations are concerned, if I'm being honest with you guys. Some people have doom and gloomed the EX thing a lot, but I don't think that this is necessarily going to be the worst thing in the world. I do think that there are positives and negatives when it comes to the EX characters. At least with the EX characters, if one of them's your favorite, you aren't going to have to necessarily pull memories in order to go ahead and get that change-up kit for them. So that is one thing that is worth noting. But really, we're getting quite a few imprint stones here. We got one more here. But I do think that that part is a mixed bag, and unfortunately, like I said yesterday, I had a lot of reservations with it. My worry is about the future mainly, but right now we're just going to focus on what there is to focus on. But I would have preferred that they didn't start this whole EX thing personally, but at the same time, I think with the way it's implemented right now into this collaboration in particular and specifically, it isn't necessarily the worst thing, but I do have feelings mixed on it, both positively and negatively. So we didn't really get anything too crazy out of here, but then again, like I said, there isn't anything too crazy in here, if I'm being honest. We didn't get any of the cards from the looks of it, but honestly, you guys, this thing here is a bit of a disappointment to me, only in the capacity that they did take out tokens for the actual Street Fighter banners. I would have preferred to have seen that, but I guess beggars can't be choosers. So, I told you guys I'm not going to be summoning a lot, but I do need to be able to bring you guys content, and I do need to be able to play some of these things. So what I'm going to do, being that I do have some time-limited rubies, I'm going to go in here on this banner right now, and I'm going to try and see if I can just get one character. If I can get one character, then that means that I can pretty much finish up the tower, and I can start doing the Ryu guild raid and so on. So I do want to start being able to do that stuff. So what I figure I'm going to go ahead and do here is I'll probably just try to use as little as possible. What my plan is going forward with summoning is I'm waiting for the Bison and Akuma banner to come up. Good lord. But I'm waiting for the banner to come up for them, and then once they come in, I'm going to go hard on that. Hard. I'm going to be, as you guys probably know, I'm probably going to try and max Akuma out. So, you know, it's going to be one of those things where once I see what I end up with there, then I'm going to go in on this banner heavy. But right now, I'm going to do the bare minimum. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and use a few of our rubies here. Like I said, we do have those time-limited ones, and then I do have some of these guys up here. Just a few, you know. So, I mean, we can do some, but anyway. All right, as always, praise Rico, believe in the heart of the cards, and let's go ahead and do it. So anyway, the new animations here, we're looking for those too, so hopefully, fingers crossed. You get nothing. Not a thing. Now, as far as the finisher cards, I'm probably not going to be going for those either. Right now, I'm gonna wait probably. I just don't want to use a lot of my rubies right now. Again, my bias towards Akuma and Bison is showing. Just need a FES. Just need a FES. The ultimate struggle of the King of Fighters All-Star. We just need a FES. All right, now we're gonna start dipping into our ruby stash. I don't want to do it. It'd be really nice if we could just get one here and not have to dip too much in. It's red. Turn. Yay! Awesome. Cool. I want Luke. I kind of want Luke. Let's see. Get over here. Cool. Awesome. What's up, dude? All right. Like I've always said, I'm indifferent to Luke, so I don't really care one way or the other about him, but his kit's good. So awesome. Now we can start doing some of this content. Really, really cool stuff. So overall, I would say that that was successful. Like I said, you guys, right now, when it comes to the cards and everything, I think I'm going to wait. Yeah, I think I'm going to wait right now. I think that that is the smart move for me at the moment. I would prefer not to use a bunch of rubies until I see just how much I get tortured by the Volume 2 banner. But like I said, at least I have Luke right now, so I can go ahead and start playing around with him. And that'll be enough for me until we get the second banner. I'm taking the wait and see approach. I'm taking the long road, as it were. But it's up to you guys, like I said, in the should you summon section of this video. Ultimately, it's going to be up to you guys on what you want to do. So good luck on your summons, you guys. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this collaboration so far. Are you enjoying it? Are there aspects that you don't enjoy? I'm sure it's a bit of a mixed bag for some people, but for the most part, I think this thing is solid. Now, for those of you wondering, Dream Match is something that I will cover in a later video. I've already talked to a guildmate friend of mine. We're probably just going to sit down and find time together to do this so I can make a video for you guys on my thoughts on it. So far, based on that live stream that we saw, I'm a big fan of what I've seen with this. So that is pretty much how I feel there about that, but I haven't actually gotten to sit down and actually play it. But based on the footage and word of mouth, I think it's going to be very good. So that will be a video we'll do later. I am off my job today, so I don't have to work. So I'll probably be bringing you guys more content today. I'm still deciding on what that content will be. Now, there's plenty of stuff in here that we can do and look through and start talking about, but I just wanted to go ahead and get this breakdown done for you guys. I know these are always going to be long videos. I know that, and I apologize, but when there's so much to talk about, and it's my 500th video, why not? So anyway, you guys, Thank you all so much for watching. I wouldn't have done 500 videos on this channel if not for your support. If you would consider smashing that like button and subscribing on your way out, that goes a long way towards me getting to that 4K subscriber number, and we are less than 50 subs away from. So that is a big deal. Again, there will be a giveaway once that happens. But anyway, you guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Praise Rico, believe in the heart of the cards. Good luck on your summons. Peace.
Continue.